E-FRAHS-ee-A. E-FRAHS-ee-A, pronounced E-FRAHS-ee-A, is a genus of basal sauropodomorph dinosaur. It was a herbivore which lived during the Middle Norian stage of the Late Triassic, around 210 million years ago, in what is now Germany. It was named in 1973 after Eberhard Fraas, who during the early 20th century collected what were the original type specimens. The specimens were at first assigned to 3 already existing genera and so became divided among 3 separate species: Pterodosaurus minor, Celosaurus frasii and Paleosaurus diagnosticus. In 2003 these were combined into a single valid species, E-FRAHS-ee-A minor. E-FRAHS-ee-A was a lightly built, medium-sized sauropodomorph, about 6 to 7 meters, 20 to 23 feet, long. Discovery and naming. E-FRAHS-ee-A has had a complicated taxonomic history involving several genera and species. Material now known under E-FRAHS-ee-A first came to light after Albert Burr, Hofsteinmetzmeister, Courtmaster stonemason, at Maulbronn, in 1902 began to exploit the Weisse-Steinbruch, a quarry near Pfaffenhofen in Württemberg. To reach the layer of hard white sandstone Burr wanted to use for his building projects a 6 meters, 20 feet, thick overburden of softer marl had to be removed. Many vertebrate fossils proved to be present in it. This stratum was part of the Stubben-Sandstein member of the Lower Löwenstein Formation, dating to the Norian. From 1906 until 1914 when the quarry closed, Burr donated the finds to paleontologist Professor Fraas of the Königliche Stuttgarter Naturalienkabinett. A specimen of a basal sauropodomorph, SMNS 11838, was first described by Friedrich von Huene in 1907–1908 and named as a new species of Pterodosaurus, T minor. At the time, Pterodosaurus was thought to be a theropod dinosaur. It was only established as a Rauisuchian non-dinosaur in the 1980s. The specific name referred to the fact that the specimen was smaller than Pterodosaurus suevicus. The fossils consisted of a few vertebrae from the hip, the right hindlimb, and a pubic bone. Elsewhere in the same publication he gave the name Celosaurus frasii to a partial skeleton, SMNS 12188–12192, from slightly older rocks of the same formation, as a second species of his new genus Celosaurus. The genus is today considered to be a synonym of Plateosaurus. In 1912, Eberhard Fraas reported on 2 partial skeletons, SMNS 12667 and SMNS 12684 collected in 1909, which he assigned to a new species of Echidnosaurus, D. diagnosticus. He would never describe them due to his failing health, and thus this name remained a nomen nudum. Von Huene adopted the specific name years later, after Fraas' death, redescribing Fraas' specimens as Paleosaurus diagnosticus in 1932. The question mark indicates that von Huene considered the references provisional only. In 1959 Oscar Kuhn pointed out that the name Paleosaurus riley in Stuchbury 1836 was preoccupied and renamed the genus Paleosauriscus. Alan Sherrick in 1967 was the first to use the combination Paleosauriscus diagnosticus for the German material. However, the new generic name was itself a junior homonym of Paleosauriscus fraserianus Cope 1878. Peter Galton reassigned Fraas specimens to the new genus E-FRAHS-ee-A in 1973, because Paleosaurus, apart from the homonymy problems, was a non-diagnostic tooth genus. The generic name was a contraction of E-FRAHS. The new species name combination thus became E-FRAHS-ee-A diagnostica. However, Galton and Robert Backer later, 1985, recommended that E-FRAHS-ee-A be considered a junior synonym of another prosauropod, Celosaurus gracilis. In 2003, Adam Yates published a study incorporating these and other fossils from the late Triassic of Germany. He found that the Celosaurus material fell into 2 clusters. One included the original Celosaurus gracilis, which he assigned to Plateosaurus P. gracilis. The other included Pterodosaurus minor, Celosaurus frasii, and Paleosaurus diagnosticus. E-FRAHS-ee-A was the oldest valid generic name for these fossils. The specific name could not be determined as simply, as both Pterodosaurus minor and Celosaurus frasii had first appeared in von Huene's 1908 book. Because the former name had page priority, Yates chose minor as the specific name, providing for the type species Pterodosaurus minor the new combination E-FRAHS-ee-A minor, which is thus the single valid species name of the taxon. Yates did not take into account 2 other species based by von Huene on very fragmentary German basal sauropodomorph material, Pterodosaurus trossengensis and Echidnosaurus hermannianus, though Galton had considered them junior synonyms of E-FRAHS-ee-A diagnostica in 1990. Apart from the specimens mentioned above, mostly consisting of rather complete skeletons preserved in large slabs. Though not fully prepared from the rock matrix, several other fossils have been found. Together they allow for a good impression of what the animal looked like. Description: E-FRAHS-ee-A was once thought to be a relatively small dinosaur, about 2 to 3 meters, 6.6 to 9.8 feet, long, but this was because the most complete known fossils are from juvenile animals. Yates in 2003 has estimated the adult length at 6.5 meters, 21 feet. The largest specimen is SMNS 12843 with a femur length of 627 mm, 24.7 in. E-FRAHS-ee-A was lightly built for its size, with gracile hands and feet. Like many primitive sauropodomorphs, E-FRAHS-ee-A might have been partially bipedal and partly quadrupedal. It had long fingers and mobile thumbs, with which it would have been able to grasp food, but the shape of its wrists might have allowed it to walk easily on all fours. Some researchers, however, contend that the lower arm did not allow pronation, a rotation of the radius around the ulna, so that the hand could not be directed downward, making the animal an obligate biped. The skull is small, pointed and triangular. There are 4 teeth in the premaxilla. The neck is only moderately elongated but thin. The neural spines of the tail are low. The second finger is longer than the third finger. The first toe is not strongly reduced. Von Huene identified a cluster of stomach stones, gastroliths, in association to specimen SMNS 12667. Yates identifies 2 unique derived traits, autapomorphies, the presence of a raised crescent-like ridge on the upper part of the inner side of the pubis shaft, and the presence of a vaulted bony web between 2 lower extensions of a braincase bone, the processus specipterygoidii, with a raised central bony platform on top of the vault. Classification: Von Huene continued interpreting these forms as predatory dinosaurs, in 1932 assigning them to a separate family Paleosauridae as part of the Carnosauria. Only in 1965 Cherrig established they were plant-eating sauropodomorphs. In 1973 Galton assigned E-FRAHS-ee-A to the Anchisauridae, but he used this name as a paraphyletic group encompassing all prosauropods that were not melanosaurids. Modern phylogenetic analysis has indicated that E-FRAHS-ee-A is a basal sauropodomorph, somewhat more derived than Nugget, but less than either the prosauropoda, including Plateosaurus, or the sauropoda. The genus is sometimes recovered as the sister taxon to the last common ancestor of both larger groups.